What's up, guys? Welcome back to the GWA Goon Show. I'm Jeremy, and thank you for tuning into this episode. This next episode is my first Cav Scout guest. But before we get into this episode, go ahead and comment, like, subscribe, and share this content. If you're like me and you like to listen to podcasts on the road, go ahead and follow our Spotify, okay, at the GWA Goons. Go ahead and follow both the TikTok and the Instagram. Go ahead and add the Facebook page, okay? I'll put the links are down below. If you're in the San Antonio area, go ahead and hit up my boy Craig Fleming at Fleming's Cleaning. Go ahead and use code word GWAT13 and get 10% off your next commercial residential carpet cleaning. Okay? And thank you for tuning into this episode. And without further ado, let's get into it. Jason Sapp.
How you doing, bud? Good to see you, man.
Hey, it's good seeing you, man. Thank you so much for doing this, dude.
Absolutely. It's good to go down memory lane, right?
Yeah, I try to, bring back the glory days, huh?
Oh yeah.
Most part, not some parts are pretty. Most parts are pretty good, but there's some sad parts in there. But it's always good to reconnect and talk to people that can kind of relate,
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, dude, you're my first Cav Scout.
Outstanding. I'll hit the standard then. Here we go.
Yeah. Like what is a Cav Scout? We have a lot of people that never been on in the military. So, and right now, I don't know if you knew this, the Army's actually reclassing a bunch of them to infantry.
Yeah. Yep. I heard that too. I got some buddies that got kids going in, right? That's how old I am now, right? It's funny because Cav Scouts kind of morphed through the whole GWA era, right? As we got into Afghanistan, and then eventually in 2003 getting into Iraq. The original role and responsibility for Cav Scouts is really to be the eyes and ears of the commander. So we go find the enemy, report back, get everybody rolling on it. And then that kind of morphed into, okay, well, we're going to do more PSD missions. We're going to, personal security detail. We're going to do, route clearance. We did everything at that point. By the time I got back to Baghdad in 06, 07, it was just about what can you do, right? So Cav Scouts by name is reconnaissance. Like that's our goal, is to go recon out, find the enemy, find intelligence, get that reported back. In most cases, you're the eyes and ears for either company level, battalion level, brigade level, and so forth. So for me, I was with the 2nd Brigade Recon Team, 1st Infantry Division. So we are attached directly to brigade, right? So Colonel Burton was wanting to know what was going on in a certain sector in Baghdad. We rolled up, went out and checked it out, right?
Yeah.
So that recon concept is really the heart of being a Cav Scout. But, like you said, having them phase it out now, it is what it is. It's a different, model of warfare that's going on. Like you see what's going on in Ukraine today. Warfare is just different. And it morphed even while we were in Iraq. By the time we got out, scouts were no different than infantry, in my opinion. We were all doing the same thing.
Yeah. And, I was talking to I was talking to this Marine like a week ago, and they were in the heat of the war when you guys were there, they were just getting like mechanics, anybody, like any trigger puller, like, hey, we gotta, like you said, you gotta be infantry now.
Yeah.
And that's, I think that's the sad part of the military nowadays is like, you forget that, hey, most of y'all are supposed to be fighting in a war. And it's like, you get people that are, I mean, I'm pretty sure you've seen TikTok, like how it is nowadays. It's like, just, I'm not hating on those people. I'm just saying like their understanding is different.
Right. And the mentality is different. The mindset's different without having that wartime presence and having the in the back of the mind, when you get guys going and gals going through boot camp and basic training and whatnot. For us, it was a mindset. We're doing this so we can get ready to go to war. Like now it's like, what benefits can I get? And how flashy and fancy can I look in my TikToks, right?
Yeah. Let me get 100%,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yep. So, how did you, how was your life, man? Like what made you want to join the Army?
This is my favorite story because, I grew up always wanting to be a soldier. I had siblings that served when I was a kid, and I'm like, that's the route I'm going to go, Life never presented the option right out of high school. So I ended up just going in the workforce out of high school, kind of traveled the country a little bit with the work I was doing. And just at the end of the day, I wasn't satisfied with what I was doing. And I actually had a job interview up in New York City the weekend before 9/11. So I was in Manhattan right there at 56th and Broadway. And I did some job interviews and missed my flight that Sunday. And they were able to reroute me and get me on another flight, but I still didn't get back I was living in Florida at the time. I didn't get back to Orlando till like almost midnight, Sunday night going into Monday.
Right.
And I knew as soon as I landed in Orlando, I'm like, I'm going to the Army recruiter's office. Right. And so sure enough, I look it up and find out what time they're open Monday, and I'm there. Second one, they open them doors. Right.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I remember it was one of those recruiting stations that had all the branches. So you had the Marine Corps, the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force. And I'm just like, what do I do? You know, I'm like, no, I've always wanted to be a soldier. I always wanted to be a grunt. So for me, it was one of those things where it's like, that's where I'm going to go. So I spent all day with my recruiter, you know, going through the background checks, like putting all the addresses down, all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
And Tuesday morning, my buddy woke me up and the planes hit the towers and it was go time. So I hopped in my Mustang, rolled down to the recruiting station, and they're like, we're closing down 2. Pentagon got hit. We'll call you back when we can get you to MEPS. Like, let's roll though. So that's basically the short story there, but ended up enlisting a few months later and wanted to go the path of ROTC in college so I can get that out of the way and try to have a better long-term career in the Army. But I just got out of AIT in what was it, like November of 2002 when I finished all my basic in AIT as a reservist.
Yeah.
And I was already put on alert that we were fixing to invade Iraq and they needed all hands on deck. So I got involuntarily transferred like 3 times, ended up in believe it or not, a postal unit.
Yeah.
And I went to Fort Lewis at the time, Tacoma, Washington. We trained up, did all our certifications, and we were on a plane mid-May of 2003. So I got there. I got to Kuwait just before the 4th Infantry actually got there, because remember, 4th Infantry had to reroute from Turkey back down to Kuwait. So I beat 4th Infantry there, and then we set up shop in Kuwait. And then subsequently ended up going active duty after that deployment and changed out to Cav Scout. Went to Fort Knox, did all that nonsense, and then rolled to Schweinfurt, Germany with orders and went on from there.
So you didn't originally enlist as a Cav Scout?
Nope.
What were you originally as?
I was a 42 Lima admin.
Oh, wow.
That's because I just wanted something to pop on there so I can get through ROTC. They're like, once you finish your ROTC, you actually go through a reclass altogether. Like, you'll figure out what Army officer career you'll go through.
Yeah.
So they're like, just enlist, get it over with and get going. So I did. And dude, like I said, it was less than 3 months later. I already put me on alert. And so and the way ROTC works is you have to be a junior in college to not deploy. Yeah. So I'm like, well, I'm starting fresh as a freshman here, 25 years old. I'm getting deployed. There's no doubt about it. So, and that's what happened.
Yeah. So how was basic training for you as a 25-year-old? Like, you're a little bit, because I left the basic training at 18.
Yeah.
You know, and of course there was people a little bit older than me, but I can't relate to that because obviously my 18 to 25-year-old to 30-year-old self is different. Right. So how was it around that time? Like, you're 25 years old, but you got some guys that are drill sergeants being 25 too.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It wasn't actually an issue for me because to me, I was there to learn as much as I possibly could. And I just wanted to be good at my job. So it was one of those things where I guess my maturity kind of helped excel all of that. They promoted me from E1 to E2 at the end of basic training. You know, I took leadership in my platoon and whatnot through basic training and even through AIT. So to me, it wasn't even a factor to me. It was that's just happened to be how old I was.
Right. And you went to the AIT for the Lima school?
Yeah, sure did. So everything was at Fort Jackson. Yep. So I went through basic training in Fort Jackson and then rolled across the base to AIT.
So let me ask you a question. So the job that you had before you enlisted into the Army, what kind of work was that?
So I was actually managing movie theaters. So I was in charge of 150 employees, scheduling the movies, doing the box office, the whole 9 yards, running the day to day.
How do you feel though? Like, you're going into like, what is that, like HR, right, or something like that? Yeah. How did you feel? Because you wanted to do fighting like a soldier, but you went ahead and took this path because of ROTC, right?
Yeah. It was an easier path for ROTC. So for me, I just had to continue to remind myself what my long-term goal was, and that this wasn't going to be my group at the end of the day, right? Like, these are great soldiers, these are great people, but I just had to keep it in the back of my mind, like, I'm going a different direction once I can get on the other side of that. So yeah, it was just a mindset trick.
Yeah. And so never at any point you were like, man, I kind of
You know what? To be
I
honest
kind of
with
made a
you,
mistake or no, but
yeah,
the war wasn't really going on yet, right? Or it was, right?
yeah. So Afghanistan was.
Yeah.
So when I enlisted in July of 02, we were already in Afghanistan for a year, so 8 months, something like that. But we all kind of were already talking when we were in basic, like Iraq's going to pop off. It just is what it is. And it was ironic because I actually ran into one of my buddies from AIT in Kuwait a year, year later. It was pretty crazy to see him. I'm like, whoa, what's up, bro? But at the end of the day, like, it's just, it was difficult at the end of basic training because I think on the other side of it all was like completing and graduating basic. That was just like, I don't know, a motivator to like, I can do anything I want. Like, I know I can go that route now and I'm going to go that route. So for me, when I got to AIT, then it was just like, okay, well, I'm just going to knock this out. It is what it is. And I'm going to get home, get to college and go do my thing. So I just had to kind of trick my mindset to get through that, knowing full well I was going to eventually switch gears and get into combat.
Yeah. And in basic training, you're saying y'all are talking that Iraq is going to pop off, or like the drill sergeant's telling you all that,
Oh, yeah.
But what is the why are they saying this?
It was all the hype. And of course, when I got into my reserve unit, they're like, oh, well, we don't know what's happening in North Korea. We don't know what's happening in the Middle East. And we were already in Afghanistan. So I'm like, there ain't nothing going to happen in North Korea. So everybody knew what was going to happen in the Middle East. And so it was either going to be Afghanistan or we were going to invade Iraq. And that was kind of just the lowdown there.
Yeah. I'm glad that you mentioned that we were already in Afghanistan for a year. A lot of people don't know.
Right.
They're like, oh, 9/11, Saddam, the invasion of Iraq was huge, right? And yeah, dude, people don't know that we were in Afghanistan first. And are you surprised you didn't go there first or no?
I was surprised I deployed, first of all, as a reservist. I was not expecting that. I thought I was going to roll through school before I got into that. So yes, I was absolutely surprised at the end of the day where I was going to end up landing.
Yeah.
But also, when we got into early March, everybody knew we were going to invade. Like all the hearings in Congress, all the things were in motion.
Right.
Everybody knew we were coming after Saddam. Like, so at that point, before we rolled across the border on the 20th of March, like everybody knew where we're going. So
yeah,
I was in Fort Lewis there in Tacoma, Washington when we invaded, and we were just trying to get our certification done so we can get out and get on the plane. And it still took longer than we wanted. But I think it was like May 19th of 03, I landed in Kuwait.
Oh, wow. Yeah. My one of my friends that I've had on this podcast, he was in the initial invasion with the 4th ID.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And, so when you guys, in May timeframe, well, what is the train up like? What are you guys doing? Because you move over to the Cav Scout side yet or no?
Not yet. That was after that first deployment. So
okay, so the Lima side, what are you doing to prepare for the deployment?
So it was funny because they were already anticipating and seeing what happened when we crossed the border with the type of fighting that was happening within the first 2 weeks.
We're talking about Iraq, right?
We're talking about Iraq. So while we're in Fort Lewis, Washington State, we were already getting immediate feedback on the battle on the ground, in that basically because we were moving so fast north, in fact, it's probably the fastest in history and as far as travel is concerned in combat, that everybody was getting engaged. So we knew the truckers were getting hit, the supply convoys were getting hit, all within the first 2 weeks of crossing the border. So they adapted our training, and even as admin guys, they basically sent us out in the field with MPs, and we basically cross-trained with the MPs and did all our gunnery with the MPs, and then they rolled us out and flew us to Kuwait.
Yeah. What were you guys doing? Were y'all just doing like formations, or like did they kind of like give feedback on how we're gonna like patrol streets and stuff like that?
Yeah. So basically, we had to learn how to basically we weren't preparing or training for patrol or routes. We were training for base security. So we were going to be a backup base security, basically. So we were training on checkpoints, how to do. We did trainings where the Op 4 was basically the bad guys. They're coming on, and we had to clear them to get on the base, search the vehicle, the whole 9 yards. Yeah. So we did a lot of that stuff because they just didn't know exactly what we're going to get into. And then, like for our jobs as a postal unit, we didn't do any training for that while we were in Fort Lewis. It was straight gunnery, straight, like I said, base security kind of stuff, and then we rolled out.
So, I mean, I'm no offense, I'm a little bit younger than you, but what is it like? What do you mean postal unit? Like a mail? Like mail?
Actually, how do you give mail to soldiers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so
I think they all combine those now, though, right?
So yeah, I mean, a lot of the military mail that goes to all the APOs, right? The Army Postal Offices and the MPOs and all that kind of stuff. They're now mostly all civilian, right? But back then, right after 9/11, everything was still military. So we got to Kuwait. I went to Camp Virginia first, out in the desert, the tent city, right?
Yeah.
And basically tried to help that postal unit for a little while. They were basically sorting all the mail that came in off the ship.
Yeah.
And try to sort it as best they could and threw it on a Chinook and got it to Iraq as quick as they could so everybody can get their mail.
Yeah.
And so when I got situated, we were there at Camp Virginia for about 2 months, and then we rolled to Camp Arifjan, which is a hard base there in Kuwait. And so we took over the operations. Basically, every piece of mail that came in for the entire Iraq theater, we touched it and we sorted it, got it organized. So by the time we took that place over, because again, I spent 2 months in Virginia, the Army already identified it was taking 3.5 months on average to get a package to a soldier and just as much time to get a letter to a soldier, wherever they were in Iraq or in Kuwait. Yeah. And so by the time we finished our tour in February of 2004 and we got cycled back, we had our packages down to 7-day delivery and our letters down to 4-day delivery to the soldier in the field.
Wow.
And that's the postmark date that was on the package.
Yeah, that's important to highlight because I know like most of us know the Army is kind of a cluster. So it can operate though. It just takes a little bit of time, Yeah. And I mean that's why the Army is the largest branch because we're self-sufficient. So,
right. Yep, all in house.
And how is Kuwait when you're in Kuwait? Like besides the mail thing, like what is the atmosphere like in there?
I mean, I rolled all over Kuwait, to Doha and different places all over Kuwait while I was there. There wasn't really a threat. Nobody really felt threatened. Yes, we carried our firearms. It was what it was. Our, Camp Arifjan got shot at a few times when Saddam finally got taken down.
Yeah.
So it was very minor. We didn't really have a security presence at all. It wasn't an issue. So we'd roll with a 9mm in our Humvee to go to Doha and back to Arifjan. It wasn't a big deal.
Yeah. And then how long are you there before you go to Iraq?
So I left Kuwait in February of 2004 and then got back to the States and decided to just go ahead and go active duty. It wasn't worth it. So I didn't go back until I was already a Cav Scout in 2006. Yeah. So I went to Baghdad in 2006, 2007.
Okay, so the whole like 2003 to 2004 deployment, you were at Kuwait.
Yep, I was in Kuwait. So I was there when, like I said, when Saddam got taken down, the whole 9 yards, but I didn't see any action the first time around.
What was like the base atmosphere like when Saddam got taken out?
They put us on alert just because they were aware that there could be potential security threats. Like I said, some crazy dude shot at our towers. That was about it. There wasn't anything. There was no assault or nothing on our camp. Again, Arifjan was basically right within proximity of the port. Let's just put it that way, because everything that was coming in ended up getting routed through Arifjan and then moved up to Iraq from there.
Yeah. And since you spent is it a whole year or like 16 months or what?
Yeah, no, that first tour ended up just being like 8-9 months because they calculated as a reservist. They calculated our time in Fort Lewis for the 12-month tour.
Oh, okay, because all the training and stuff like that.
All the training, yeah. So
basically, that your company, I assume, or was it like? Yep. And then so like the security element was the MPs, right, or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Like on Arifjan, we didn't carry firearms.
Yeah. What was like? Oh, so there was like you weren't wearing gear, nothing like that.
We locked it up, and I was just in my DCUs, bro. Yeah, we stayed in a tent. Like we didn't get a hard building or nothing. We stayed in tents, so it was hot as hell, right? We got all of that, especially in August when that humidity shifts up from the Gulf and all the tents are just drenched in moisture all night long, But as far as security, there wasn't an issue. There's no threat down there, man.
Built a lot of character though, huh? Sleeping.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They made us do PT tests, bro. Like that's how crazy it was.
Oh my gosh, dude. Yeah. See, I take back what I just said about the Army, dude.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's pros and cons, right?
Yeah, there's always something dumb, right? It can't.
But I can't complain personally because I was able to do my PT test there in Kuwait. I ended up when we got back to the States, I got promoted to E5. So I'm like, all right, I'll take it.
Oh, okay, that's good. How did that work back then? Like, because I don't know. I mean, I was in a time where like the PT test counted for like points and stuff.
Yeah, it's still all of that was relevant.
It was like that was relevant. Oh, okay.
But they waived all the leadership training courses just because deployment rotations were almost back to back. You could go to E6 before you go through your E5 schooling.
Oh shit.
Back then.
Yeah.
So that's why I was able to pick up E5 before I even went to school. Usually, and it's probably the case now, you got to get your schooling and then you can get on the list for promotion, you know?
Yep. You're 100% right.
Yep.
Yeah. You got to do like a board, then you got to pass it, and then you got to go to school, and then
so then you get on the list, and then you wait.
Yep. So how do you feel at this point? Because like I said, you wanted to fight.
Yep.
But now you're admin because your path of officer.
Yep.
Iraq is kind of I wouldn't say it's chill, but it's kind of like, hey, Saddam got hit. Yeah. And then what are you hearing at the end of the deployment? Like, how is Iraq popping off? Because it's like you're getting 04.
Yeah. So we knew it was going to keep on rolling because there wasn't an end in sight, right? Like the insurgency was actually spiking at the end of 04. So we knew there was going to be constant rotations. And even our command and the reserves were like, we're going right back out. So they were taking volunteers that wanted to do a back-to-back tour. And so I had a couple of my guys that wanted to do that. But there were deployments to Djibouti, Africa for intelligence and all kinds of other stuff down there.
Yeah. What were they doing in Djibouti?
Huh?
What were they doing over there in Djibouti?
Intelligence.
Oh, okay.
There was a lot of other stuff going on, special operations that were out of Djibouti as well.
Yeah.
That I didn't end up going to Djibouti. But a couple of my buddies did. They went they volunteered for that second rotation back to back. So they went from Kuwait, flew home for a month, and then went to Djibouti.
And you chose not to?
No, because I wanted to go my route. You know what I mean? So I re-explored what the possibility would look like to get into college, to get to that 2-year mark in order to not deploy, so I could finish my college and get my bar, my butter bar, and go from there. But my unit was like, we're on constant rotation and constant alert. Like, there's no guarantee you'll be able to finish those 2 years to be on to avoid stop loss. So I went ahead and chose at that point in 05 to go ahead and reclass. So I spent almost 6 months at Fort Knox reclassing and becoming a Cav Scout.
How is the Cav Scout?
So it's a 1-unit station training like infantry, right? So back then they basically threw us at the end of the basic training portion of it.
Yeah.
I mean, so we were just getting smoked with the privates, man. I had 15 of us that were reclassing. So I had 2 staff sergeants, 4 of us were E5 sergeants, a corporal, 4 specialists, and then a couple PFCs. We're all reclassing from different jobs. And so they literally just threw us in like we were privates, dude. It was ridiculous.
Does the Army have like needs of the Army at this point? Like, hey, you got to be Cav Scout. You're not going to be 11 Bravo. You're not. You know what I mean?
Right. That's basically what it was. Because when I was looking at the active duty options, they were like needs of the Army 100%. They didn't even put infantry on the table. Surprisingly, they said combat medic, trucker, or Cav Scout. I'm like, this is a no brainer, dude. You want to be a Cav Scout?
I don't know, man. Being a combat medic is pretty sweet, dude.
Yeah.
Is
that how you rolled?
I loved it. Yeah. So it's the second largest MOS, I think, in the Army.
Right.
So, but I had a great time with it. It definitely the school sucks.
Yeah.
It's long, but I mean, it's rewarding. Plus, I don't have to do a lot of the dumb grunt stuff. So
true.
So that's cool, man. So like, how do they pitch Cav Scout to you? Like, hey, this is the closest thing you're gonna get to infantry, or what?
No, they didn't really pitch it to me. I just researched what it was and what it was all about. I'm like, well, my long game was going to be special forces. So I'm like, this is just kind of a steptoe to that. So for me, it was a smart choice between the 3 options that I had at the time. But yeah, it was a needs of the Army situation. So they only presented those 3 at the time.
Yeah. And it was pretty easy because, I mean, it's just like, I mean, they're just smoking the privates, man, making sure the basic stuff.
Yeah. And then once we got into the AIT portion of the training, it was elementary to be honest with you, but I had to switch gears because I already did a deployment and whatnot. Like,
you've already been for a while, right?
These guys were like 18, 20 years old, right? Like they don't know their butt from their face, right? Like, so to them, it was awesome training. And to me, I'm like, this is a basic OP, guys. Like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Let's just get over it. Let's get it done. Let's get this certificate done. And so I can get to my first duty station. And so, yeah.
And you're a sergeant too, right?
Right.
Oh my God.
So yeah, I had drill sergeants in my face too.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, drill sergeant. I had to private myself again. You know what I mean?
They didn't talk down to you, right? Because you were like a Lima before.
They did in front of everybody else. So even to the E6s, bro. Straight up.
Dude, the Army will never change in that aspect, huh?
No. It's like if you got the drill sergeant hat on, it don't matter who you are. They're gonna do what they want to do. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Yeah. Was the transition to active duty easy?
It was okay. What made it more difficult was the fact that I got stationed in Germany. So I went from Fort Knox to Germany. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so luckily being E5, I was able to go knock on some doors there at Knox and got orders from my wife and my 2 daughters to go too. So we rolled together to Germany. Got to Germany that first week of January of 2006. And I was originally assigned to 177 Armor out of the 2nd Brigade, 1st Infantry in Schweinfurt, Germany. I was there maybe a day and a half, did formation once, and they're like, we need you in the BRT. So I rolled over and got transferred over to the BRT and set up there.
What is BRT?
Brigade Recon Team. So we're the brigade commanders, eyes and ears.
Yeah. Sorry.
We had 55 scouts. That was our whole troop, 55 of us. Yep. We had our own admin. We had obviously combat medics and everything like that too. But
yeah. And so you're married and you've already been in the Army, what, 3 years?
Yeah.
Were you married the first time you were going around too?
I got married just before I deployed. Correct. My wife and I actually met on a blind date after AIT and got married a month to the day later. And 3 weeks later, I was in Fort Lewis.
So how does your wife? Okay, so because I'm gonna ask a similar question after this. So how did your wife feel the first deployment?
Well, we got nervous, of course, just because, we didn't really know what we were getting into. I kept getting involuntarily transferred from one unit. I was in a transportation unit, a supply unit, and then they put me in the postal unit. So I didn't know what I was doing or where I would end up landing by the time I got to the Middle East. And so we were just kind of anxious to figure that piece out. But what made it more difficult, I guess is the best description, is the fact that the weekend before we flew out from Fort Lewis, because we didn't even know our flights yet. I flew my wife up, and so she visited with me, and we ended up getting pregnant, and didn't know that until, of course, I'm in Kuwait, months later.
Yeah.
So we find out that we're pregnant and whatnot, and it actually ended up working because, again, those 2 months in Fort Lewis counted towards our total tour.
Yeah.
And so we got home 6 days before my daughter was born, but she went through the whole pregnancy without me. I was in Kuwait the whole time.
Man, people don't know how hard it is, man.
Oh no, you don't. Just don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, like you don't think seeing your family for like 3 days is bad. I mean, it gets hard. It gets hard.
Yep.
And so how was the conversation with her when you're like, hey, I'm gonna go active?
Honestly, it was good because we were trying to find, because I knew we weren't going to be able to stay through steady school. So I was going to attempt to do part-time and just try to get the first 2 years done part-time while I deployed. Yeah. So I was just doing construction work on the side, but we didn't have insurance. We were just struggling with a new baby and everything. So it was just a smart decision for us as a family to make that call. And, there's obviously lots of different options once you're in active duty, as far as like green to gold and different options to getting through to become an officer. So I knew that was still out on the outside, but at the end of the day, I still wanted to shoot guns. So I got the best of both worlds, and we went ahead and went active duty and went that route.
Yeah. And then she was cool with the whole transition to like, hey, I'm going to go first line combat type thing.
Yeah. Cause she knew at the end of the day, I wanted to land in special forces. So being Cav Scout was just kind of prep work for that piece. And so I was able to squeeze in selection before I went to Baghdad, but I wasn't ready for it because I just got to Germany and it had zero time to prep for it. And they were like trying to recruit before the deployment. And so that was a hot mess. But that was the path we were going on. So she fully supported me. She didn't want us to live in a marriage where I resented her for anything. So if she tried to say, no, I don't want you to do this, she didn't want me to resent her for that if I didn't do it, So there was a lot of conversations, and we just had a heart to heart and was like, you know what, let's just do this together. We'll figure it out. Like deployments will be what deployments will be. And that's just going to be the Army lifestyle.
Yeah. Man, that's hard. Cause like your reclass. Well, honestly, the reserves to the active duty is a huge transition. Right. Like I went from active to guard for 1 year and I absolutely hated it, but the transition there, and then basically the Army owns you, man. Like you have to do whatever they tell you to do.
Yep.
And you're older too. Like you're like 28 years old, maybe 29.
Yeah. Cause I was,
almost
30 when I got out of the Army. So yeah, I was 28, 29, right in that ballpark.
Yeah, so 28, 29, and it's just like it's getting a little bit like, I'm not saying you're stuck in your ways, but I'm saying that
This
at
is the path we got to
oh,
go down, you know?
yeah, exactly. And how, so you were able to move them to Germany with you and everything like
Sure
that?
did. Got orders for them to come out. So I had my
That's good.
right before I went to Fort Knox, our second daughter was born. So she was born in June. In fact, Sunday's her birthday. She'll turn 20. So
Okay.
she was 2-3 months old when I went to Knox for 6 months. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to your daughter. Happy birthday.
Yeah, there you go.
And Germany, what was Germany like?
It was rough at first. For one, we're native from Texas. I grew up in Dallas. Like she grew up down near Austin. Like, so we're used to heat, and I was in Fort Knox, so it was sweaty balls hot there too,
Yeah,
right?
I've been there.
And then by the time they gave me a 30 days leave because I was going overseas on a duty station, so I took all of December of 02 or I'm sorry 05 off, and then got on a plane January 2nd of 06 to go to Germany. So we hop on the plane. We land, and we didn't even do any research on the weather in Germany. And it happened to be the coldest winter in 30 years. And so our girls, we had to bundle them up in so many jackets and layers because we weren't ready for it, man, let alone ourselves, you know?
Yeah.
But it was a time where they were, they had already identified the 2nd Brigade, 1st Infantry for unit of action. They knew they were going to train to certify for deployment. So I got there, and they were already talking. We're going to be on rotation to Grafenwehr in March. We're going to, go to Hohenfelds afterwards. Certify the brigade, and then we're deploying. So it was an instant mentality that our mindset was that we're getting ready to deploy.
Yeah, and that's the BRT, right?
Correct.
And how long? So you're there for what, like 2 months before you deploy, or what? 2-3 months?
So I was there for 6 weeks. We went to Grafenwehr for a month, and then Hohenfelds for a month, and then we got back, and then everything was in limbo through July. When July hit of 06, that's when orders started getting. But they ended up piecemealing our brigade. They pieced out. And sent a forward advance for 126 Infantry. And so they rolled to Kuwait first, and then we had 9th Engineers rolled out. So they kind of piecemealed the deployment out to Kuwait. By the time we got to Kuwait, they finally figured out what kind of mission we were going to be on. They told us that we were going to get one of two options when we got there. And I guess this was the privilege of being with the BRT because we got all the scoop from the brigade commander, right? And so they said we were either going to do border patrol basically with Iran on the east side, or we were going to be in Baghdad, and we didn't know which route the Army was going to choose for our brigade. And so 2nd Brigade, 1st Infantry was a heavy brigade. So we had the Abrams, we had the Bradleys, but we also had our Humvees. And so they decided to roll us into Baghdad instead of on the east border with Iran. Yeah. So that ended up working, I think, in to our advantage. But so yeah, it was about 6 weeks in Kuwait for the BRT. And we had to go it was really crazy because we did all our gunnery in Germany, and then they got us to Kuwait, and they wanted us to go through all of our gunnery again.
Yeah.
And so by the time we finished, our 55 scouts fired more rounds than an infantry company did through our trainings in Kuwait. And so, yeah, I thought that was pretty good. We did a lot of good training, had a lot of positive experience there, and then we rolled up to Baghdad.
What is it? So before we get into Baghdad, what is it like getting to a company as a brand new E5 Cav Scout?
That was hard because I was a reclass. I didn't grow up in the ranks, so I kind of got dogged on by my senior NCOs. So I had to prove myself basically. So it was like a double duty kind of deal. So it's not the same as had I been a Cav Scout from E1 up. They saw me as just kind of a complete outsider that didn't know what I was doing. And so I got reamed good, and it was good for me. You know, I got my spur ride done, got my spurs. I mean, I handled it and went to selection and came back and we deployed. So it was a pretty quick deal.
Yeah. And what is that? What is that place you guys went to in Germany to go training?
Grafenwehr.
Yeah, I've never been to Germany. So what?
Yeah, Grafenwehr was the ranges, and then Hohenfelds was where the urban ops training was at, where they built the city up, you know, and then we did at live fire and everything like that.
How was the training? Is it kind of like, because we've been in Iraq for what, like maybe 3 years already? So like, dude, like everybody's got an idea.
We had protocols that we knew we needed to roll. We knew enough to train with it there in Germany. So the big focus so my platoon was tasked to be the PSD for our brigade commander. Our 2nd platoon was going to be our recon actual scout platoon that would actually go out and engage in our area wherever we were going to land. So the training was absolutely geared towards that piece of it. And so we were prepped and ready to go once we hit the ground in Baghdad to be able to provide that security for the commander. And then we had the area responsible from BIOP, the Baghdad International Airport, to the green zone. That was our sector. So our second platoon rolled through that.
Okay. And can you? I'm not familiar. I've never been in the Cav or anything like that.
Yeah.
I've been in the air Cav, but I've never been in the Cav.
Uh-huh.
What is like a platoon built up of? Like, how is that worked out?
So it's absolutely different because even being in a heavy brigade, we were light scouts. So we were rolling in Humvees, not Bradleys or anything like that. So, you look at an infantry unit, a company, and break that platoon down, you're going to have what, 50 infantrymen in a platoon, or in a, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So you look at a scout, we had 15, 18 scouts in one platoon and 4 trucks. That's it. That was our platoon.
Yeah.
Because we had like 6 soldiers that were assigned to basically be part of the admin platoon to help run operations.
Yeah, when I deployed, we were pretty short. I was with the infantry, and we only had like 22 guys in total, and that was with me and a field artillery guy.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
And what are you hearing about Iraq going up in the training? Like, what is your platoon sergeant, the company commander, whatever, whoever you're following, or what mindset?
It was all about IEDs. It was all about identifying IEDs and making sure we had route clearance, and then it was all about sniper fire. So
y'all sniper fire?
No, returned towards us. So there's a lot of, at that point in time, there was a lot of Iraqi snipers that were taking out soldiers left and right.
Yep.
So those were the 2 threats they trained us on pretty heavily when we were in Kuwait. So that we got assigned whatever private security contractor that did our training in Kuwait. So we were trained by Delta and Green Berets that are retired, and we're with this private security company that trained us down in Kuwait. So they basically geared us up and got us all the training we needed to roll up there and be prepared for what we were about to get into. But at the end of the day, you can never really be fully prepared, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was just going to ask you, like, how do you feel, though? Because this is like, I'm not saying your dream, but this is what you want to do initially.
Yeah.
Like in what, like 6 years ago?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
How are you feeling, though? Like, hey, I'm actually going to go. Once you guys find out you're going to Baghdad, you're like, hey, how are you feeling?
Like for me, I didn't have any fear about the situation. For me, it was almost kind of exciting. Like we finally get to go do our jobs. You know what I mean? And reflecting on my childhood, always wanting to be a soldier. Like to me, I was like finally in a place where I can go do my job. Let's go get into it and see what happens. So that was kind of my mindset going into it. I didn't have any concern about IEDs, insurgency. To me, none of that really mattered because I knew we were all ready. We had all the guns and trainings and certifications. Like we crossed all the T's and dotted the I's, and we were ready to roll.
Yeah, I think that's most combat arms is like when you join combat arms, like initially, not like myself where medics can go to hospitals or the line. It's freaking like I'm not saying that they're excited, but I am saying that this is their job. This is your job, right? And so a level amount of fear does happen, but like some people, I mean, I guess you could say excited because you're like, finally, I'm doing all this training, all this hard stuff, and I'm finally going to do what I signed up to do.
Right.
Plus, you're going to destroy the enemy.
Right. Well, if you look at it, and this is something I learned obviously more later down the line in life, but the nervous system doesn't segregate the difference between fear and excitement. It goes through the same path in your body. So you might be afraid, but it's giving you a thrill at the same time. You know what I'm saying? So it's a totally different function. That's for sure.
Yeah. And when you guys get to Kuwait, you said you had to do another gunnery, but that's what the private security guys and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And was that training good and everything like that?
Oh, it was absolutely good. I mean, we're talking, we got certified in shotgun breaches to AT4s, the whole 9 yards, like everything. We got shot and we got to do live fire on everything. Taking down houses were live fire scenarios. So we did it all.
Yeah. And your platoon was in the PSD?
Yeah.
Okay. That means personal security detail for anybody that's not for everybody's watching. And you're there for the full bird or what?
Full bird. Yep.
Okay.
Brigade commander.
Cool. And So, all right, you're coming to the end of Kuwait, right? Let's paint the
Mhm.
picture. Let's paint the picture, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You're going into Baghdad.
Yep.
Like, how do you guys get to Baghdad?
So they threw us on a plane. So we literally had the transportation company take all our stuff up, Humvees, the whole 9 yards, Connexes, the whole 9 yards. And so
What time of day is this?
middle of the night.
Okay, you guys
Yep.
got like the PVS 47s and stuff like that on, and you guys are
Not
like,
yet. I mean, we had it
oh,
on us. We had all that gear on us, ready to go. But we knew we were
yeah.
landing in Biop, and we were going to go straight into Camp Liberty at that point. So we knew we were going to have safety the second we landed, till we can get into Camp Liberty on the other side of Biop. But we basically had everything that we would need to actually do combat operations for 4 days, because we didn't know how long the transportation company was going to get all of our stuff up there. And it only took them 2. So we were doing just fine on the 3rd day. We finally got, places to put our bunks down and get set up. But yeah, that first week in Baghdad, well, really the first 4 days really wasn't much. It was getting situated, settled, finding out who's who and what's what, and getting the brigade set up.
Yeah, and so you said you're in Biop, you said?
Yeah, by Baghdad International Airport, for anybody that doesn't know that.
Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, I didn't know that.
It's the whole compound that encompasses Camp Victory and Liberty on the north side of the airport.
Okay, and how big is this roughly? Like, if you can give like maybe just a kind of generalize how big this area is.
I mean, we had concrete barriers around the entire airport and Liberty and Victory compounds.
So this is a secured compound already.
100% secured compound already. It's a hard shell compound.
And the other camps are on the outside of it, or are they like on the
They're
outer
inside the compound.
Okay.
They're inside the compound, but segregated between each other. So the airport portion of Biop was segregated from Camp Victory, which was where a lot of Saddam's palaces were at. So when we did the shock and awe, when we invaded, they bombed a lot of those palaces. Well, we turned them into our multinational compound commanders, bases, and all that stuff. And then Camp Liberty was the army side of it.
Who are y'all going to fight? Because we're not fighting Saddam's army anymore. Like, who are they telling you guys, hey, this is who we're going to fight?
So they were convinced that this was an Al-Qaeda supported insurgency in Iraq. So we were fighting Iraqis that were supposedly aligned with Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan, which, if you know Muslim culture and if you understand that world, that wasn't the reality of it all. But what we ended up discovering was that there was 2 different dynamics that were happening in Iraq at the time. Since Saddam was taken out, the Sunnis, because Saddam was a Sunni Muslim, the Sunnis were, under his reign, the majority in the government system, yet they are a minority in population.
Right.
By almost a third compared to the Shiite Muslims that were there. So the Shiites were the ones that were really aligned with, well, for one, they were aligned with Iran, because Iran is primarily Shiite Muslim as well. So they're mostly aligned with getting power back in Iraq. So they were fighting the Sunnis for power within parliament, within the Iraqi parliament, right? And within the financial districts as well. So we found that the insurgency was inner battles between the Sunnis and Shiites, but they all hated us too. So they fought against us as well. And they wanted us out of the way so that they could do what they had to get the power that they felt that they deserved.
Yeah.
So it was a very complex set of things that were happening all at the same time when we got there in the summer of 2006.
Okay. So, and you're in Biop for 4 days, and there's a hard stand that you guys are staying in, or what?
Yeah. They had some buildings that we shacked up in for a minute, and then we rolled up into. They got us assigned onto Pad 12 there on Camp Liberty.
And the colonel's going with y'all over there?
Oh yeah, he was on the plane.
Well, but he's going to the small. It's just weird to me because, like, in Afghanistan, you're not getting freaking a lot of rank like that in those smaller areas. You know?
Sure.
They're staying in the bigger.
Yeah.
The bigger areas.
Well, this was technically the biggest base in Baghdad.
Biop.
Yep. The whole Biop compound. So that was Camp Liberty Victory Complex is what they call it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And you guys have to drive to Camp Liberty? You walking over there? What is that?
Yeah, we drove. I mean, it's big. I mean, you're talking about, pick the Dallas Fort Worth Airport. That's Biop. That's the size of the compound land wise, right?
Yeah.
So you're talking 100 square miles of space that you're dealing with. You
know?
So, yeah.
I'm trying to get it in my head. I'm trying to because I've never been there, so I'm trying to understand what's going on here. Yeah. And what side of the airfield are y'all on?
So we were more on the north side, which was close to where Camp Victory is, and then on the other side of Camp Victory, on the north side of that, was Camp Liberty.
And you're Camp Liberty, right?
We were at Camp Liberty on Pad 12. Yep.
Okay. And how long does it take y'all to drive there?
Well, I mean, it was just a few minutes. I mean, it's inside a secured compound, so it's just a matter of driving up to the other side. 2-3 minutes.
Okay.
We're on the other side of camp.
You guys are relieving somebody over there or what?
Yeah, so we relieved an element from the 4th Infantry, and so I did a couple patrols with them and nearly got my head shot off doing it. But yeah.
So when you got people don't know that the ripping process is like relieve in place. It's like how is that? Are you guys going out with the colonel? Or are you going out with their own PSD? And it's like, hey, let me show y'all what y'all are doing or what?
The colonel didn't leave the compound for that first 2 to 3 weeks because he had his meetings. He was doing all that back end stuff that who knows what they were really doing.
They're doing all the political stuff,
right? All that political and raising the flags. And I'm just like, no, I'm out. Like I'm gonna go do my thing. So, but no, we did a couple of different patrols with other units that were in Baghdad there at Camp Liberty. So I went out with 2 of my soldiers with the 4th Infantry unit. And again, I wish I remembered the unit designation, but we rolled with them on several patrols. And then we also partnered and did some patrols to kind of learn again more about the IED situation. We rolled with EOD. So the EOD, the explosive ordnance disposal guys, they're the ones that blew up and got rid of the IEDs, right? So we rolled with them on a couple of missions. And dude, we had one where they lit off white phosphorus on an IED right there in central Baghdad. We all cleared up. We had to close the hatches, the whole 9 yards, man. And that white smoke just went up like crazy. But so, yeah, we did a lot of those types of things to see how they were doing their patrols and how they handled IEDs on the road, what were the gunners doing as far as positioning in their turrets. Like, we're just observing everything that we could and learning and asking. I mean, I asked a ton of questions from the guys that I was rolling with just to see what their last year was like there in Iraq, And so we learned a lot from that, and then just instantly implemented the training there at Camp Liberty with our guys so that we'd be ready to roll the second we were taking on the mission.
And at Camp Liberty, it's the whole BRT that's there, right?
Yeah, I mean, there was probably, I wouldn't even say 10 to 15,000 soldiers there at that base.
Oh, dang, man. That's
huge. It's massive compound.
Yeah, like I said, so from my perspective, like I said, I think we had 108 people.
Yeah.
On where I was at. So like me trying to grasp the situation.
Yeah.
This is a huge place.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly is.
And how was like your first like couple like what is it, left seat, right seat missions out there?
So like again, being in a BRT is a little bit different because what we also learned through that initial training when we got to Baghdad was that if we were to take fire while we had our commander with us, we were to break contact immediately and get him to safety.
Absolutely, yeah.
So it wasn't a scenario where when we started taking contact that we stayed engaged and called in QRF, quick reactionary force reinforcements, right? We would break contact, contact QRF on the grid coordinates of where we took the contact, and we rolled the infantry in to go scope it out and see what was going on while we were getting back to safety or going to another location to keep the colonel safe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Did y'all ever go out with the colonel? Without the colonel?
Oh yeah, definitely. Because our second platoon did patrols, right?
Right.
So we absolutely did. And so I stayed in the first platoon for the first half of my time there, and then I got moved to the headquarters platoon, and I rolled with our first sergeant and our CO alongside our second platoon and patrolled our neighborhoods. And like I said, from the airport to the green zone, there, route Irish, which was known as RPG Alley. We rolled all of that. That was our area.
Okay. And so like let's kind of paint the picture for the viewers out here. How was the patrols like in Iraq? Are you guys going out with Bradleys or Humvees or what?
Yes and no.
Okay.
So I'll tell you, the first time I got pinned down was with that 4th Infantry unit. As I was learning from them, I had 2 soldiers that were in my unit with me, and they had 2 Humvees and a Bradley, and then we had 3 Silverados from the Iraqi National Police that were taking the lead in the patrol. So their 3 trucks are up front.
Yeah. We
had Humvee, Bradley, Humvee. And so we rolled with 6 total vehicles in that regard. But by the time we started taking contact, it was at an area that they already ambushed because whatever National Guard unit, transportation unit was there, got hit, and they left a het with an Abrams tank on the back of it with no soldiers around. So when we rolled up on the highway, we're like, we've got a tank abandoned on the side of the highway, no soldiers around. So we immediately put a cordon down and made sure there was nobody off the side of the highway. And then as soon as I turned around, when we cleared the grass on the shoulder of the highway, pops going off left and right. And then it went automatic fire and it didn't stop for 15 minutes. And so we called in Apaches. We had 2 Apaches on site and they were doing like figure eights overhead, trying to figure out where the insurgents were shooting from.
Right.
And then they attacked some civilian KBR convoy on the other side of the highway and blew their trucks up. So we're talking black smoke going up 500-600 feet in the air, massive explosions because all that diesel is burning. Blew those 2 up, and then we called in the Air Force and they threw in 2 fighter jets that came down low and did that sonic boom. And dude, those dudes scrambled right after that.
Yeah.
They know better than to deal with a 500-pound bomb from a fighter jet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they rolled it and went instant quiet, dude. And that was probably the first time I was like, holy shit. Like, yeah, we just survived a massive barrage of almost 15 minutes straight of gunfire on our position, and we couldn't do nothing about it. We couldn't even return fire.
Yeah.
No positive ID. We didn't know where they were shooting from. The Apaches couldn't see them, nothing.
That was y'all's ROE was like positive ID.
That happened right there in the summer of 2006. Beforehand, if somebody's shooting at you from that building, you light that building up.
Yeah.
You light it up till it's crumbling, right?
Yeah.
Now they're like, rules of engagement changed that summer. You had to have a positive ID of the shooter and his weapon before you could return fire. And so we couldn't identify them. We didn't know where they were shooting from. The Apaches couldn't see them, and they were just lighting us up. And then they attacked the KBR convoy on the other side of the highway. It was a hot mess, man. That was one of those days where it's like, shit, did we just get out of that alive without a scratch, man? Like, yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah, I know exactly how you feel because it's kind of similar to my first firefight. When I was in Afghanistan, I was leaning against a wall, and I was with I was with first squad. I was with my platoon sergeant, the medic platoon sergeant.
Yep.
And dude, the second squad's doing like they're like going around the village and they're talking to people, and we start taking rounds. It's a sniper light, right? It's hitting us over the wall, and we're not allowed to shoot back either,
right?
Because we need, dude. This is later on in the war. We're talking about 2013, 2012.
Yeah.
So like we definitely can't do nothing. Like
right.
And it's a terrified feeling. Like you feel kind of hopeless too because I mean like dude, we got the saw, we got the 240.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure you guys are well off to be like, okay, we got it. But
oh yeah, I mean we had Bradley out there. Like he just wanted to pull the trigger. You know what I'm saying? Like put some holes in walls. But yeah,
they kind of just throw a chain on you and you're kind of hopeless, man.
Yeah, and it was crazy because the Iraqi National Police, those 3 trucks, they were just unleashing in the air. They're just shooting everything with their PKMs and shit. You know, I'm just like, what are they shooting at? We got a mosque on the other side of the highway. We got a bunch of 10-story buildings on the other side over here, and we knew they were shooting from that side. And so, yeah, it was just a hot mess.
Was it their platoon leader from the 4th ID, or was it your platoon leader in charge of that mission?
They're the 4th ID platoon leader. Yep, they had their XO with me too. So I had two first lieutenants that were on that patrol with me.
Okay, so they're pretty well versed already. Like, hey, we can't. Like,
they were just running up and down behind me because I was out dismounted and I'm behind that Abrams tank, the trailer, but at the very end of it. So I'm fully exposed from the waist up, and I just have this lieutenant coming up. No shooting without PID. No PID. Don't shoot. Don't shoot. And we're all like, we don't even know where they're at. Like, we can't even see them anyway. So we were just literally with rounds just whizzing and cracking right by your face. You know what I mean?
I think in that moment, if I was a lieutenant, it would be it's better to get your ass chewed than have somebody die because that is intense. A lot of people don't know what it's like to be in a firefight and not be able to shoot back.
Exactly. That's probably more complicated and difficult than, in my opinion, than actually engaging directly.
Oh yeah, and one of my other videos, I had my old platoon sergeant on. He was vastly different from my first one, where he was like, "No, you got to shoot with PID." My other one, he was like, "What you said. We took fire from that wall. Destroy it.
Right.
Destroy it." And dude, we were lighting it up, and it's a way better feeling.
Right.
Way better feeling.
It is. I mean, the fundamentals of combat is simple: shoot, move, communicate. And if you can't do that, you're crippled. You can't do your job.
Did you feel kind of weird though? Because like, hey, I wanted to fight and like I can't.
Oh, absolutely. It immediately swelled a sense of anger that I never experienced in my life. I was mad about the situation. I wanted to do my job and stop those that were trying to kill my soldiers. And that's a hard place to be when you can't do that.
Yeah. Were you mad at the situation or the lieutenant or at the time? I'm
No.
not talking about now reflecting. I'm
Yeah,
talking
no,
about now.
reflecting back in a moment, it was more of the fact that I personally couldn't see them.
Yeah.
I couldn't confirm within my heart that I had a positive shot that I could take, knowing it wasn't an innocent citizen, right?
Right.
So for me, I was mad at the fact that I couldn't see them. I couldn't find them. And the rounds are coming by my head. So they have sight on me. I should be able to have sight on them, was what I was thinking at the time.
Yeah.
So in the midst of all, it wasn't fear. It was a sense of anger that I was like, where the fuck are these guys, man? Like I got an ACOG on my M4, dude, and I'm just like, where the fuck are these guys, man? And
Yeah.
yeah, it's
And,
crazy.
and that, dude, we're talking. You're not even in Baghdad for what?
Not even 2
2 weeks.
weeks.
2 weeks.
Not even
Yeah, I was
2
gonna
weeks.
say you're not. And so this is already painting your picture of like, are you kind of frustrated? Like, hey, is this how it's gonna be? I fucking need to get
Well,
PID.
we got back to base because again, that National Guard unit left that tank. So not only did we have to get QRF out, so strikers showed up, infantry guys. I think it was 2nd Infantry came in with their strikers. They were assigned QRF that day, but they also had to roll out with the wrecking crew to tow that heavy equipment truck back to Baghdad, right, or back to Liberty. And so we had to stay on scene until all of that was stabilized, and the wreckers had the truck on the tow truck ready to roll, and then we could all roll out. So when we got back to Liberty, we also had to turn in what ended up causing them to leave that truck is they got shot and the driver got hit, and so they abandoned the truck, got with the medics, and they took them back to or not back to Liberty. They actually went to the green zone to the hospital.
Yeah.
And so all their clothing, the soldier's ID card was in the truck still, blood everywhere. So we had to either gather all of that and get it back to Liberty so they could return it back to the unit. So we were just chilling on Liberty while the lieutenants were doing all of that nonsense. And I was talking to the staff sergeants and all the guys from the 4th ID. And I was like, man, is this like kind of normal? Is this par for the case out here? Is this how y'all's missions go? And he's like, actually, no, this was probably the hottest it's been in a couple of weeks. And I was like, okay, well, that's relative. A couple of weeks is nothing in a 12-month deployment, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, tell me more about other engagements. So we just talked shop like the rest of the afternoon trying to figure it out. And then the lieutenants finally came back and we finished our day. But it was just one of those things where I was just trying to get an expectation. What is this going to look like as we roll forward? And at the end of the conversation, everybody was like, every day is a different day. You really don't know what you're going to roll into every single day. So just take that with a grain of salt and just do what you can, right? Mission first. So
Yeah.
we did.
So how was the rest? Like, let's go into the next like 3 months of it. Like, what is it like? Obviously, every day is different. You know, you're probably getting into gunfights and everything like that. But what is the mission for you guys?
So it was definitely crazy because again, that first 3 months I stayed in the PSD in 1st platoon, and then I moved over to gun for our first sergeant and rolled with our 2nd platoon on actual patrols and all kinds of stuff. So I'll get into that in a minute. But this first 3 months in, I'm on PSD. So I'm a gunner. I'm gunning the rear truck. So I'm always facing the rear.
Yeah.
So I'm always watching the back of the patrol and making sure nobody's coming up on us, all that good stuff. Well, it wasn't even a few days after that incident that I just shared that we had our 126 infantry that got assigned to Sadr City on the other side of the Tigris River in Baghdad. They got hit. And so we lost we lost multiple soldiers that day, but in this one particular patrol, the rear gunner in 126 infantry, they were turning the corner near the marketplace in Sadr City, and somebody in the crowd threw a grenade at the truck. And so the gunner yelled down, grenade, grenade, grenade. Nobody realized that the grenade was in the truck. It got lodged. He's yelling grenade.
All right, now go.
Yeah. Yelling grenade inside, thinking that they understood that the grenade was inside. They thought it was outside the Humvee, and they kept rolling. So he ended up dropping down on top of the grenade, took the hit. He died, saved all 4 soldiers in that Humvee. That's Specialist Ross McGinnis. He was posthumously awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor for that action. That was less than 2 weeks from my incident on the other side of the Tigris in central Baghdad. So we didn't know what we were getting into, but one of the things that I found unique with the PSD mission was that disengaged concept. Like we got shot at all the time. Our goal wasn't to engage and stay and fight because we had the freaking colonel with us, right?
Yeah.
So we did a lot of different missions because of his role and responsibility with the surge in Baghdad. He had to meet with a lot of sheiks, imams, parliament leaders in the Iraqi parliament. And so that was a unique thing because we'd roll up to some building in the middle of Baghdad, not knowing what it was. And that was a meeting place for their parliament at the time. And we just got to stay outside waiting for hours and hours on end for him to finish this meeting. Yeah. And we're just sitting ducks right there outside this building in our Humvees, just waiting, you know? So we dealt with stuff like that. But then we had a couple of times we had to go link up with specific parliament leaders. Yeah. And at this point in time, the parliament, the Iraqi government authorized them to have their own private militia. Mm-hmm. So they basically had their own security guards around those parliament leaders. First time we rolled up with them, there was a meeting at that guy's house for our colonel. We roll up, dude, and I'm serious, dude. We are guns facing each other across the street, not knowing what they were or what they were.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was,
dude. And then what is the determining factor that you got to move to second platoon?
So really I wanted to shoot. So, being E5.
Yeah. We're good. Like, how did you make the determination you got to go to second platoon?
So I went to headquarters platoon. So I told my platoon sergeant, I was like, I'm done with the PSD. I want to go engage on patrol. And so he moved me to the first sergeant to go shoot with him. And so that was the move right there. I just asked for it and they gave it to me.
Okay. And so what is the tempo like compared to like the PSD?
Well, the PSD was 90% during the day.
Yeah.
Patrols are 90% at night.
Yeah, because we own the night. We got night vision, we got thermal, we got everything. Yeah.
Right. But during the day with all these political meetings, we're rolling in the day.
Yeah.
So it posed its own threat. And we definitely, our colonel did get hit by an IED on our mission as well. Later down after I was in headquarters platoon, but he survived. No issues. My gunner, he took shrapnel though. So he got Purple Heart that day. But so yeah, I rolled with my first sergeant gunning for him.
Okay. And you're in a Humvee or what is it?
Humvee still. Yep.
Oh, okay. Yep. And you're patrolling at night. You guys are doing raids or no?
Yep. We did, we called them SKTs or small kill teams.
Right.
So we'd roll up, take a house, go get our dismounts in it, move the Humvees around the block, wait for the guys to show up. Ambush the ambusher, right?
Yeah. Just like that movie, Warfare.
Yep. That's exactly what we were doing. We did those left and right all over central Baghdad. And in our specific area there, like I said, between the airport and the green zone, that was our sector, right? But when you look at the special forces community, they divvied up Baghdad differently. And so we worked in conjunction with the British SAS. So we did outer cordon missions with the British SAS as they were going after high value targets.
Yeah.
So we did those kinds of patrols too.
Oh, that's cool. Like we're talking about like tier 1 targets or tier
Absolutely.
2? Yeah.
Absolutely. The kind of stuff that General Casey was looking for, 4-star general.
Yeah. So a lot of people that are watching, there's a different level of terrorists, right? I guess you could say it's like tier 1 is the top, and then 2, 3, and then there's like heavy hitters probably above those dudes.
Yep.
Yeah. Are you? So now you're actually doing what you wanted to do.
Yep.
How do you feel though?
That's when I got more mad.
Surprisingly.
I got more mad because, again, rules of engagement changed everything. So I'll give you an example on a particular mission. We were building relationships with some Iraqis in the marketplace nearby in our sector. So we would roll through there. We'd give the kids soccer balls, talk to the people, get to know them, let them know we're going to have presence in their neighborhood, keep them safe. We built a relationship.
Babies.
Yeah, we built a relationship strong enough to where two young men decided that they were willing to let us know where the bad guys were. And that's how the interpreter worded it, but whatever. So we threw them in our trucks, in our Humvees, and we let them tell us where to go. And so we rolled around. He pointed out 2 or 3 houses that's where they were camped out at. So obviously we're going to relay, and so we can get another element ready to go. So we're not just rolling up with 3 trucks and 4 dudes. You know what I mean? So, so we built relationships in that regard. We did our missions there. And this one particular day, I think this was probably in December timeframe of 06. We rolled up to the marketplace, and all the women are crying. They're screaming. They're crying. They come to our trucks. The interpreter's barely trying to keep up with everything. Basically, throughout the day, a sniper on the other side of this field from their marketplace, other side of this field was a house that this guy was shooting at their kids, at the women that were just trying to walk to the market, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we're like, cool, we're going to roll up on it. We're going to figure out what's going on. Y'all sit tight. Don't do anything. So sure enough, we rolled and turned the corner, and we started hearing pop shots, single shots.
Yeah, yeah.
We're like, all right, he's in the neighborhood. Let's go find him. We get to where they told us where he was hunkered down. And like I said, it's across the field. So if you guys don't know, an up-armored Humvee is extremely heavy. And we learned the hard way earlier on in our mission, you don't go off-road without knowing what that dirt is. We got our Humvee stuck. Our lead patrol got our Humvee stuck, and we had to get a Bradley to pull us out of the mud. It was just sunk in again, rainy season is what we were dealing with in the winter. So our Humvee sunk into the mud on that particular mission. So we knew we couldn't cross the field, that we just had to find the neighborhoods to reconnect through the streets to try to get to that house, or just see if we can hunker down for a while. And if he pops up, we just take him out 300 yards out. No big deal, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's what we decided to do. We stayed on our side because the other side of that green field was a whole nother brigade sector. So we would have to get up to command, to brigade, to their brigade, get authorization for us to roll into their neighborhood. And we didn't want to deal with all of that. So here we are, we're hearing the pop shots. We pull up on the side of the neighborhood, and we're creeping, but diesel's loud. You're going to hear these trucks rolling, right? And I'm telling my first sergeant, I was like, we need to dismount. We need to go take this house, get on the rooftop, and then we got oversight. Like, we're too low down here on the ground. But rolling in a headquarters platoon, we rolled in 3 trucks. So we had my CO in the middle, our first sergeant in the back, and our staff sergeant up front. Like, that was it. Like, we had maybe 3 dismounts in our CO and our first sergeant. 5 of them could dismount at any point in time.
Hold
He's
on,
like, no, we're not dismounting.
Before you go on, dude.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how you only had 3 trucks.
We rolled in 3 trucks, bro. We were scouting.
So you're patrolling the streets with like 3 trucks. You're talking maybe a total of like what? 10, 12 dudes, maybe?
That's it.
Dude, oh my gosh. Dude. Yeah, that is crazy. Yeah. Like I'm not trying to talk trash out there, but dude, we know that the special operations community's got the best stuff, right? And we got the lowest tier at this time. Right. And it's like you're still having to go out there with 12 freaking people.
Right. So
that is ridiculous.
When I moved into the headquarters platoon to gun for my first sergeant, I immediately switched my M4, and I dropped my 203 underneath it. So I got my 203 underneath my M4, and I'm rolling with a 50 cal at this point because I left the 240 with first platoon. I'm like, no, I want a 50 cal if I'm going to roll like this. So I'm rolling with a 50 cal. I got one hand on the handle ready to hit that fly, right? And I had my 203 in my other hand, and I'm just sighting on this house. And I said, "Top, can I shoot? Can I shoot top? I'll put a 203 down and then follow it with some 50 cal right then and there, you know?" Yeah. And he's like, "Well, we can't see him yet. We can't see him yet. Hold tight, hold tight." I'm like, "All right."
Oh my God.
And sure shit, he hung out behind the house for a minute. And so no shots were happening because he could hear us and see us probably at that point. And so nothing. Then we turn around, we're like, all right, well, let's just patrol the neighborhood for a minute, see if he starts shooting again, and then we'll try to re-engage. So we did that. Rolled back up to where we could see him. He saw us. He quit shooting again for a minute. So our CO is like, screw this. We're going to RTB, return to base. Let's go. We'll come back and send another element out that might have a little bit more dismount capability and so forth. So we immediately got our second platoon mobilized back at Camp Liberty to roll out and start taking over patrol on that north side of our sector. And then we rolled back to base. But the thing that, still emotional today. I was so mad. The second we rolled out, we go through the marketplace, and we had to tell them that we were leaving, but they didn't understand that we were sending a bigger unit out to come back again. And they started throwing rocks at us. And then a fucking sniper shot killed a lady right on the back side of the marketplace, right where we were there. And because it was an Iraqi, my CO was like, RTB, we're out. We're bailing. Let the Iraqis deal with it.
Right.
So here we are. The sniper effectively killed somebody in our backyard. We couldn't do anything about it, and my CO wants us back to base.
Is that like upper echelons, or is that like your company or is it your brigade telling them like, hey, we can't Or is that how Iraq is? Like, is that how Iraq is? If it's Iraqis, don't do anything.
We were by time 2006 rolled around, again, they were trying to let the Iraqis take the lead.
Yeah.
So when incidents happened between Iraqis and not involving U.S. soldiers, we had to call the Iraqi army and the Iraqi National Police to handle it, and we had to be hands off.
Yeah.
But we literally let that lady died. I mean, she got shot in the face. I mean, there's nothing else you could do about it.
Yeah, the overall concept of it is a good idea, right? Like, get Americans out of the way, let the Iraqis fight their own war. You know what I mean? But like, I'd say it in every podcast. Not everybody was bad, and there's situations that you would have to you have to use a lot of tact, because I mean, obviously they could have killed her, and then the suicide vest, something. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things you have to take in consideration, but it is unfortunate. Like, we're doing hearts and minds, and this is like it's a big culture difference, man. They just don't understand.
No, exactly, and so yeah, he that was just, again, that was some crazy missions in that regard. So my anger triggered early stages of PTSD. I started having nightmares at that point.
Yeah.
That really set me off. It was audible. So I would have nightmares that I'm getting shot at, and I literally would wake up in my metal shack, grab my rifle, and hop out like we're getting attacked on the base, and everybody's around doing their thing, and I'm like, wait a minute, there's no gunfire, nothing's happening. It was literally in my dream, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's when things started hitting me on the PTSD side of it, for sure.
Oh wow. How many months are you in? Like 9 already?
No, not even 7 months. Yeah, not even 7 months in country yet.
And you guys got to go in R&R and everything like that?
Yeah, they started a rotation. I think some of our first soldiers went. Let's see here. I think it was October going into November. And it sucked for them because they knew this was the front part of the deployment, dude. They had to go on their R&R up the front. So, all the grunts got that, all the E1s and E2s, that's what they got. And then everybody with families got prioritized more towards the middle or towards the end of deployment to go on their R&R.
Yeah. And when did you start taking R&R, right? Because like, you're going through all this mental problems and stuff like that.
Here was the downside with, again, not knowing the military stigma behind mental health at the time. I didn't pay attention to none of that stuff. I didn't even know what PTSD really was. I just heard the term flying around for many years, but so I went and, okay, so let me put it this way. Anytime we lost soldiers, the mental health team would check in with us because we were integrated with every battalion in the brigade. Yeah. So we knew a lot of soldiers in all the different units and elements in our entire brigade of 4,800 soldiers. So mental health would always come and check with us at the BRT and saying, hey, we know so-and-so, killed IED yesterday, or, so-and-so got shot, whatever the case may be. Are you guys okay? Do you need to talk about anything? So they were always around us a lot more than I think any other company. But I just happened to pull one of the guys aside, and I was like, hey, dealing with this nightmare situation, what's up with that? And dude wrote a freaking letter and sent it to command. And then all of a sudden, the next thing I know, they're like having me set up a meeting with the brigade surgeon. And I'm like, oh, okay, what is going on? And he put me on, like, I think it was Paxil or something like that, some anti-anxiety type stuff, right? And he's like, well, we take mental health very seriously. We're considering medevacing you back to Germany for further evaluation. And I'm like, we're in the middle of our deployment. Like, I can do my job. I'm doing my job. Like, I just want to understand what's going on up here. And so I took my R&R and coordinated with brigade surgeon, and they had me go through mental health assessment back in Schweinfurt, Germany, and they stopped me. And I did not go back to Baghdad. I subsequently was medically discharged, and my unit finished the tour 5 months later.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Damn. I'm not saying like I'm happy, and then like, right. I understand where you're coming from too, right? Because you probably feel like crap.
Right.
Especially you're an NCO too.
Right. Yep.
And like, people don't know, like, the NCO Corps impacts lives. Obviously the officers that impact policies and procedures and stuff. But like, how are you, like, when you're gonna go to Germany, are you aware that you're gonna get like done? No. Like, this is it or no?
No, because I just thought it was my R&R. So I took my wife and girls. We went down to Garmisch and stayed down and went to the Neuschwanstein Castle, and we did a 4-day weekend when I got back. Yeah. And then when I did get back, I connected with my rear detachment, and they said, well, we've got all these medical appointments scheduled for you. I'll drive you down to launch stool. So the first thing they did was they did a full cardiopulmonology workup to make sure I wasn't actually having heart attacks, because it started to feel like I was having, my panic attacks started turning into what felt like heart attacks. And so I was having the nightmares at night, and then I was or when I was trying to sleep, and then heart attack feeling like panic attacks during the day when I was on patrol, or at night when we were patrolling. And so they sent me through cardiology down on launch stool, and they cleared it. And I remember it was a full board colonel cardiologist. He's like, I know exactly what's going on now that we have all the testing done. You're being referred to mental health, and you're going through a medical board of evaluation board, and your time is up in the Army. You're not going back to Baghdad. Oh. And I was just like, are you kidding me? So there's a lot more story to this on the back end that I learned after the fact. But what we didn't know at the time is that from the invasion of Iraq in 2003 all the way to 2009, all the branches of the services were discharging service members with a lower percentage so they could try to prevent paying out retirements. So what ended up happening is they started a backdoor policy that if anybody had any kind of mental health, they were going to try to discharge them with something other than PTSD to get them out of service without a retirement. They were going to give them a severance and get them out the door on a medical, 10%, something like that, right? That's what happened to me. So I left the cardiologist, go see the mental health. It was a major, what's his rank? I don't remember his name, but anyways. And I sat there for 45 minutes talking to him about my time in Iraq. And he's like, okay, well, that's all I need from you. We're going to submit your med board, and you'll probably be out of here in 3 months. And it was a crazy fast process. And I was out before I knew it. But here was the trick. I didn't know what was going on or how to stand up for myself in that. And so the Army put it in, the psychologist put it in as a panic disorder, not PTSD. So I got a 10% severance coming out of the Army. And I immediately connect with the VA and go through my evaluations with the VA. And they're like, this is full blown PTSD. Like, there is no panic disorder here. This fits the bill for PTSD. So I immediately got service connected when I got out of the military. But what I ended up finding out is, and I learned about this whole discharge situation in 2014 when the VA called me and said I fit the bill to resubmit my discharge back to the Department of Defense to see if they would change it to a retirement, because the Department of Defense did that internal audit in 2012, and it took a year and a half to get the results. And that's what they found out. Marine Corps and Army were the worst. They discharged more service members with a lower than normal disability rating to try to reduce the cost of the war to the American people. And so the Department of Defense set up the Physical Disability Board of Reviews, the PDBR, and it based it out of the Air Force in San Antonio. And it was for all branches that were discharged between 2003 and 2009 could go back through and see if you could challenge your discharge.
Yeah.
So I ended up doing that, and 2.5 years later, the Army finally admitted that, yeah, we didn't actually discharge you properly, but we decided we're not going to change it either. And I'm like, how can you sit here and say you didn't do it legally and yet not change it? So I ended up finding the National Veterans Lawyers Service Board that runs Lawyers for Warriors. Mm-hmm. I gave them my whole file, all my medical records, and it took them 2 years to review it. And they came back and said, we win cases like yours all the time. We're going to take up your case pro bono, and we're going to sue the Army and get your retirement. I was like, okay. Fast forward now to 2020, and December of 2020, I get word back from the Army that they awarded my retirement back to 2007 when I got out. And so officially got medically retired, and they backdated it all. So it's crazy, man. The military was doing a lot of crazy things in that time frame.
It's sad too, because like they're trying to reduce costs to the taxpayer, but at the same time, like at what cost is it to the people that are fighting your war?
Right.
And I say it all the time. They teach us to go to war, but they don't teach us to come back. So
no,
we're just. My friend said it really good. He's like, dude, nobody even checks on me. It's like the same thing, man. It's like, oh, we're just gonna throw you to the side, man. We used you for what we needed, and that's it.
That's it. Yeah.
But in return, though, since you left early, you feel like crap for leaving your guys.
Survivor's guilt hit bad, bro, for years. And it kind of still does, but, it's been 20 years now, 18 years.
Yeah, I know exactly. Yeah, I have major survivor's guilt, too. And since we're kind of coming to the end of this podcast and everything like that, like PTSD, anger, how would you say for someone to handle it, right? Because I met you on TikTok, obviously, and how we see a lot of these guys are like, oh man, PTSD is hitting me hard today, depression,
Right.
and what would you tell these guys? Like, hey,
there's so many different angles on this that it's taken me years to figure it out for myself. So it's hard to compact all that information into a quick little pitch here. But at the end of the day, what I ended up learning was how drastic PTSD affects your body, not just your mind. So my health went to crap. I ended up getting type 2 diabetes, health issues left and right. I was doing everything the VA was asking me to do. I was on 16 different medications within 3 months of getting out of the Army. I was going through, what do you call it? Cognitive behavioral therapy or whatever. Prolonged exposure was the program I went through at the VA, which I don't recommend that to anybody, by the way.
I'm doing it right now.
Yeah. So you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. That repeating the storyline, that don't do shit for you, but at least that was my experience. So that's kind of how I put that. So what I learned was that through understanding more on that survivor's guilt piece of it, when I was studying and trying to learn and understand it, because I wanted to understand myself better too, as I realized that I lost my identity when I left Iraq. I lost who I thought I was going to be in my life. I wanted a career in the Army. I wanted to go special forces. Like I said, I hit selection before the deployment, and that didn't happen. Everything closed. The warrior that I was all of a sudden disappeared, and everything that I identified as who I was as a person was tied into that. So I had to fix that. I had to heal through that and recognize that my life isn't connected to combat as far as my identity is concerned. I am still an individual and I can still be who I am.
Yeah.
And then I will say this about the cognitive, the prolonged exposure treatment. The primary benefit that program had for me was recognizing when I was going into a panic anxiety attack, and it helped me compartmentalize the war. Like I said, we would go deliver soccer balls to the boys and kids out there. We'd go deliver school supplies, and the little school kids are out in the yard playing. There was a lot of good things that we did that the very next hour flipped to straight combat, so like I had to segregate the two and say, you know what, we did good here, we did combat there, people died there. Like I had to compartmentalize that, and then I could process each one of those individually and work through that. And the end result of all of that was, one, I had to get my health back. So I had to get back in shape, and I basically dumped all the pharmaceuticals. And this is just my perspective. I dumped the pharmaceuticals and went to natural holistic wellness. Even got into essential oils, which was a phenomenal tool for triggers, for my PTSD triggers, and really just chased that lifestyle. And I saw a dramatic impact to my day-to-day life. So I was already what the VA called a high functioning veteran with PTSD. Like if I were to sit down too long, it would make it worse. Yeah. So I was considered high functioning. And so they let me work, and I still do work, and I work to this day. So when it got too quiet and I didn't have anything to do, that's when everything in my head would roll. You know what I'm saying? I
agree with you.
Yeah. So I just, I learned that through my healing journey, it was so critical to get my physical body back in shape so that I could handle and process the emotional side of things that I dealt with. And that was a hard thing to learn, because that's not what we learn in school. That's not what the doctors will tell you, but that's the success story I have, and allowed me to, still be able to engage in healthy relationships with my girls and with my wife and friends and whatnot. But that time frame from 2007 all the way to 14, not happening. I was a secluded recluse, right? Like in my own world for so long, trying to battle my demons. And I learned that I had to get out of that in order to process it and work through it.
Yeah. And to go into like the whole cognitive therapy thing through the VA and stuff, it's rough for us that done something like this. It's hard for us for them to relate to us.
Yep.
And they're like, oh, this is your problem, but I've never even done that.
Yeah.
And I'm glad. Thank you for opening up like that. And I think it's important though that other people know that, hey, your situation is way different from somebody else, but it's also the same.
Right. Exactly.
And we, as people that saw combat, we need to reach out to each other.
Yep.
Even though there's like this whole stigma out there that combat vets crap on other vets that didn't deploy, which is not true. I mean, it happens, right? I won't say it doesn't.
Right.
But in reality, dude, it's just like we're proud of our people that we served with, and we're not proud of the. I'm personally not. I'm not proud of the political side of everything.
Right.
But talking to you, right? People I don't even know, man, and I feel like I've known you for a long time.
Right.
Just because I can relate to you on some things, and and we've been sitting here for almost over an hour and a half, and it's just like, dude, I feel better.
Heck yeah.
You know, and I hope other people see this and they're like, hey, maybe I'll take Jason's approach and like, hey, let's try it. Like, what's gonna lose, man?
Right. Exactly. You know, and I missed this gap in this story, and I think it's absolutely critical because the 22 a day is real. I survived my attempted suicide October 4th, 2008. So I've been down that road, and I know that the pain is real, and it may be up here in thoughts and memories, but it comes out so physically visceral that it's real and tangible. Right. But I also see now, here I am 18 years later since combat, and I've got my life back, and it's possible. And that's why I want to hop on a podcast. That's why I want to share what I can, because there are too many stories of the 22 that actually successfully, commit suicide, but there's even more that don't, that need to rebuild their hope and having a better life and continue beyond that. And we have to share our stories, or it's going to be hard for those that never pay attention or even know that there's a positive side on the other side of it all.
Exactly. And part of the positivity too, and I kind of compare us to like Vietnam vets, right? Because the whole like internet development, and we're starting to see like what the whole global war on terror was really about.
Right.
So a lot of people are like, well, you fought just to get somebody rich, right? You know, and
I hate those comments. I have to ignore those posts.
yeah. But us though, like appreciation factor too, man. Like I look at it like this, man. Like we talked earlier, it's like the whole podcast world is obsessed with the special operations community, but us, we did it too, man. And we're living proof that it's okay to feel like crap, like if anybody wants to cry, I'll cry with you, man. Like I know what it's like to lose people. You know what it's like to lose people. We know what it's like to have those nights where you're just angry, no reason, right? It's like you're pissed off because you're trying to think of something you can't fix or control anymore,
or get the answers to why.
Yes, exactly. And and anybody out there that's feeling this way of hey, I think I want to try to attempt suicide or whatever, it's like, dude, just reach out to you. You know what I mean? Reach out to me. So you can reach out to both of us at the same time. We'll figure something out, man.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most important thing about what we do here. Like I said, like I say we because you're part of the community that I started. I want to grow.
Yeah, exactly.
And but yeah, Jason, I really appreciate this story, man. And you gotta you first of all, you speak great. And I am so glad that we got to talk. Thank you so much. I hope we continue our friendship. And
absolutely, brother.
And yeah, dude, do you have any questions for me or anything like that?
No, man, I'm good. At the end of the day, war's hell. You can't avoid it, but the biggest thing is, like you said, we've got each other, even though we may not know each other. We do have each other, right? We got each other six. So that's what counts.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's it for this podcast, dude. Just thank you for tuning into this episode. If you have anybody you'd like to have on next, please go ahead and send them my way. If you'd like to reach out to Jason and ask him for some advice or just to talk to somebody, I'll go ahead and link his socials down below. And with that, catch you on the next